What's going on, everybody? Jack Cassett here with round 6 of our season challenge mode of F1 2012, and we are now seeing our first wet race on the season. Just when I thought that there was no weather in season challenge mode, thankfully there is a wet session here at Interlagos in Brazil, and this is quite easily my second favorite circuit on the calendar. And going to go ahead and take you through my full qualifying lap here. As you can see with my quick setup, I did race with a wet setup, not a full-blown wet setup, mind you, but we are racing with wet tuning here, so let's see what we can do. Corner 1, very, very easy to miss your braking point as I start to skid out on the curbs there, and that's going to cost me. As you can see, the pace leader, Hamilton, speeding along the only straight of the circuit. This is a very, very short track. Typically in dry conditions you can get lap times in the 1:12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, somewhere around there. So very, very short, and going to try and make up some ground on Hamilton. And the one nice thing about this in qualifying, having the ghost here, is sort of figuring out where the AI is slow. As you can see, I brake a little too early there and don't exactly get the hill right. But now be able to collapse the gap just a bit and get behind Hamilton. And even though we are not pulling ahead or anything, at least we're maintaining pace for now. And this corner is also very, very tricky. Almost never get my entry right, but as long as I can keep my nose pointed without going wide, I'm not going to complain. Now coming up to one of the final corners on the circuit, and you can see that we're very, very close with Hamilton. And now using my curves to try and make up some ground, and maybe we can catch him at the straight. It's going to be very, very close. And if anything, hopefully we can get a top 10 qualifying position, and gaining ground at the last second. Let's see where we come in. And able to finish in second behind Lewis Hamilton. So not able to get pole position, but probably the best result that I've had in qualifying thus far. So very, very excited to see that. And I have to like my chances starting from the front row. Like I said, this is a circuit that I enjoy and typically do pretty well at. So a victory is not out of the realm of possibilities. As you can see, we're lined up to compete with Felipe Massa in the Ferrari. And just going to take a quick look because I've never seen a wet race here in season challenge mode. Just want to double check. Okay, so we're on intermediate tires. And as you can see, no opportunity to change our setup. We are configured because of our qualifying setup. And I had basically configured it for intermediate conditions, and my gamble has paid off as the suggested tire was intermediate. So just kind of wanted to double check that before we get out on track. And look at all this real estate in front of us. Haven't seen this much track at the start of a race at any point in my playing time here in F1 2012. So let's try and make the most of it. Here we are to start, and much better start than Lewis Hamilton, getting by the McLaren right away. And heading into turn 1, and you can see all the arrows indicating behind me. I obviously held up the field right there, and look at that bunched up train of cars. But now coming around here through this long left sweep coming into the straight, you can see the gap expands, and I don't expect that to last for very long. And you can see that Fernando Alonso is behind me now in second position, and trying to maintain my line through there. It can be very easy to go wide if you're not paying too much attention. Still maintaining a pretty good gap, and learned my lesson in qualifying to basically coast through that corner a little bit more than I had. I had been braking a little bit harder, and now starting to lose the car a little bit, and all of a sudden regaining my traction there. And the wet conditions can definitely be felt here, so going to be conservative going around these very, very strange apexes. And going wide here, and again you can see just how much traction I'm losing. I'm sliding for a moment, then all of a sudden the car gets its grip back and able to make my turn. And right now able to stay ahead of Alonso, but you have to wonder how long that's going to last. As I start to go wide there, skip off into the dirt, 2 wheels off, and Alonso not able to get by me here. Let's see what kind of pace we have along coming through the end of the lap. And right now Alonso riding pretty close behind, but not able to make any kind of a move. No threat from the arrow indicators. And now for tricky turn 1, I have problems with this corner more so than any other corner on the circuit, and even in dry conditions I have a hard time hitting it. And now, unlike lap 1, you can see that the field is very, very condensed. And Alonso, hopefully my future teammate, now making up some ground here on the straight. He may think about going for it here on the inside, but that's not likely and does not happen. Basically, that straight there is just long enough. You got to be right behind someone to make a move there. So usually your best chance is to overtake in Brazil or around these corners. but I haven't raced here on F1 2012 in dry conditions, so not really getting a true idea for the AI's pace, except for just here on the wet, of course. But it's nice to know what they're supposed to be doing in the dry, and it's usually where you can find your slow spots, just like in qualifying as we were trailing the Ghost car. But we did have pretty good pace in qualifying, so it does stand to reason that as long as I don't have any problems with going off track, that we can pull out a victory. But certainly don't want to count our chickens before they hatch. Now coming up the hill again, and you can see hitting a purple sector for Sector 2. And the one thing I've noticed about F1 2012 is throughout the season challenge mode is I seem to hit purple sectors even in sections where I feel like I really didn't do that well. So that's a little unusual. As you can see, we get fastest lap of the race. So basically that suggests to me that you can get pretty good times even on professional. But not really sure, but sometimes I'm a little surprised when I see myself hit purple. When it just doesn't seem like that isn't even remotely possible based on how well I had been doing. But anyway, not going to complain. Why not? It only looks better for me. But the true benchmark for this game in terms of the AI is probably going to be in career mode, because you have the pit stops to factor in. As you can see, Alonso now starting to gain some ground up through here. See if we can stay ahead of him coming up the hill. But usually with the pit stops, that's when you can see really how your pace is coming along, because obviously since everyone has to stop, the AI will have a chance to get around you if in fact you're holding up the field. And I really shudder to think what kind of results I'd have during this season challenge mode if in fact we had pit stops, because I've basically gotten my results quite a bit by holding up the field, and am doing so just a bit here. And a little bit of oversteer there. Almost ended up on the lawn, which would be really bad news given the wet conditions, and start to skip off the curb just a little bit, and Alonso is able to get up right behind us. But you can see now losing pace to the Lotus coming up the hill, and going to burn off all my KERS. Haven't really used much of the KERS throughout the circuit until the very end, saving it in case I have an off. And you can see that we lose almost a second of time this time around. And now that we're getting to the end of the race, only 2 laps to go, starting to feel the pressure a little bit. I really want this victory. Of course, my only objective is to beat Massa. But because I'm so close to the victory, and because I've never won playing F1 2012 yet, it would mean a lot to me to try and pull this out. But I'm not going to worry too much if it doesn't happen. Got to stay ahead of Massa. But it wouldn't surprise me if Alonso was able to make a move. It's just going to be a matter of maintaining my focus. And that's going to be a big challenge in career mode. Going back to the idea of career mode here for just a moment, there was definitely times where I struggled to maintain my focus through the 20% races in career mode, and they've upped that in this year's release to have a minimum of 25%, so all the races will be longer. And for some of the circuits, that's going to be a lot of fun, and for other circuits, it's going to be a little bit of a grind for me, especially thinking of the harder circuits for me, such as Monaco or Singapore. The street circuits I really struggle with. As you can see, I start to lose the grip on the car there, and able to basically keep both wheels off the grass, but definitely felt the car start to get away from me for just a moment there. And here we are at the end of lap 4, the start of lap 5. See if we can bring home the win for Lotus on our swan song race. And let's see if we can beat our future teammate coming around turn 1 and start to lose the car. Panic strikes as I'm able to regain control, but not before Alonso gets around, and now wheel-to-wheel with Hamilton, coming around the rain-swept curve here of Curva do Sol, and able to pinch out Hamilton for P2, but we want more, now competing with the Ferrari, and it's going to come down to who wants it more down here at turn 4, and slowing down and trying to keep it on track, and able to make the overtake stick, and that was an extremely close call. I know that it didn't really matter if I won this race, just trying to beat our rival, but when you get that close, you just don't want to lose it on a mistake like that, but had basically settled into a lull, and just coming around turn 1 thinking I had everything under control, and all of a sudden that was that. And fortunately able to come to grips with the car and maintain pace with Alonso. That probably would have been my only chance to get around him, and now you can see I'm very, very spooked. And just trying to babysit the car around these corners, not wanting to give Alonso any opportunity to overtake on the inside, especially after that duel. Would hate to see it go all to waste, but you can see I'm able to stay ahead of Alonso there, and was being very, very careful on my braking there. It's nice to be able to brake uphill there, but still it's very easy to miss your apex. And we are in cruise control, folks, coming around for our first victory of F1 2012, our first of this season. And very, very exciting finish there, especially with that duel with Alonso, which I wasn't expecting. Able to beat Massa, and that's going to mean that we're going to get a contract offer from Ferrari. And I'll be teaming up with the Spaniard at the start of the next race. So now unlocking the technical achievement, which I believe is winning a race using manual gears. So this is our first victory. And a second achievement here for Hot Lap, which I believe is setting the fastest lap, penalty-free lap of the race. And finally, Race to Victory, which is taking our first career win, or excuse me, I should say first win in either career or season mode, I believe is what it's for. So nice to get those unlocks for our victory here. And I'm definitely going to take the opportunity to watch my podium sequence. Always like to take advantage of these because they don't happen that often. But I wonder if that's going to be a thing of the past now that we're joining Ferrari. And still have to make a decision on where I want to go from there. I believe I have 4 races left. And so ideally, if I can beat my rival in each one of those, I should be able to join 2 more teams. So I'm kind of debating between the McLaren or the Red Bull. Probably take a look at McLaren, maybe do Red Bull on my next go-through. But hopefully some victories will start to roll in. Might be able to score a couple before the end of the year, even though I think it's far too late to actually have a chance at winning the Drivers' Championship. And because you have to start off with a low-level team for the hard difficulty of Season Challenge mode, I may end up having to resort to playing through once on medium and starting off with a higher team to have a chance to get the Drivers' title for this mode, but we'll have to wait and see. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Be sure to tune in. Like I said, I've got 4 more races in this series, then I'm going to be kicking off a career mode series, so I will hope to see you guys at that time. Thanks again.